This program is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you.
This program is part of American Graduate. Let's make it happen. A public media initiative made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
I'm Yolanda Vazquez, and welcome to our special presentation of You Can Afford College. I'm sure you've seen the headlines recently and have been inundated by stories of college tuition increasing year after year. There's also been various studies that ask whether the degree you received was even worth the money you paid for it. And of course, there's the other big burden, student debt. This makes many high school seniors and parents and anyone watching now who may be thinking about going back to school to get their degree wonder if they'll be able to afford it. Well, tonight, not only do we have a lot to tell you about finding money for college, we'll also discuss finding the right college for you and if the school you choose fits in well with your budget. To do this, we'll first take a look at our program with host Mario Armstrong, and then we'll come back to our live studio to hear financial aid insights from our special guests at T. Rowe Price, Harford County Schools, the College Bound Foundation, and the Maryland Higher Education Commission. Even better, we have a live phone bank of college financial aid advisors right here waiting to take your calls and answer your questions. Just pick up the phone and call them at 1-800-222-1292. Trust me, they know what they're talking about, from the free application for federal student aid, better known as the FAFSA, to grants and scholarships. You can also join our conversation on Twitter by tweeting your questions at hashtag MPTYCAC. And you can still do it the old-fashioned way and email us your questions at outreach@mpt.org. Our program is also streaming online at mpt.org/YCAC. We'll be back with our live guests shortly, but feel free to call anytime. That means right now. The number will be on the screen. Now here's part one, and I heard a ring, of You Can Afford College.
That's all the time we have for today's show. Catch us here at the same time next week. So no matter what age you are, one day you wake up and it hits you. You may have been thinking about it for years, and now you're 17 years old, or 25, or 55, and you've definitely decided,
I want to go to college.
I want to go to college.
I want to go to college.
So you've made up your mind and you're ready to go to college. The question is, how are you going to pay for it?
Good question.
Relax. There's a ton of information on financial aid out there that can be tricky to navigate. But the fact is, there are billions of dollars available for you to apply for if you know what to do and where to look. I'm Mario Armstrong. Join me for the next half hour as we explore how you can find money to pay for higher education. We'll hear advice from experts and from people just like you who are living it. Because the truth is, you can afford college.
You Can Afford College is a co-production of Maryland Public Television and the Maryland Higher Education Commission, and made possible in part by a grant from the United States Department of Education, strengthening the federal commitment to assuring access to equal educational opportunity for all individuals. Additional support provided by the Eastern Shore Higher Education Center.
The American workplace has changed dramatically over the past 100 years. Technology has transformed the way we live, learn, and do our jobs. The workforce continuously evolves to meet employers' needs. And for some of you out there, that means going to college. But the cost of college can bring sticker shock.
It costs how much?
How am I going to afford that? Calm down, don't panic. You can afford college by taking advantage of many available financial aid programs. So, where does financial aid come from? There are four primary sources. They are the federal government, your state government, the institution to which you are applying, and private sources, such as corporations and nonprofit organizations. So, how do you start? Sorry I have to use an acronym this early in the show, but trust me, it's the most important one. There's a form you have to fill out, and it's called the FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. Forget about paper and stamps. The FAFSA is an online form, and the website is fafsa.gov.
People say that it's very complicated, but it really isn't. You should basically know your name and address and telephone number, social security number, and then the rest of it asks line by line for your tax information, where to look to get that information. And then you just submit it, it goes to the school that you plan to attend, and then the school processes it for your eligibility for federal aid. As long as you do it before the state deadline, it also should go to the State Higher Education Commission, so that by doing the one application, the FAFSA, you could be eligible for state and federal aid.
Don't own a computer or have internet access? It's okay, don't worry about it. Visit your local library, it's free.
High school seniors can apply for financial aid before they start college. Students should begin looking for financial aid by talking with their high school guidance counselor. They could also contact the financial aid office at a school that they are interested in attending. There's also a FAFSA forecaster on the FAFSA website that shows what you may anticipate receiving from the federal government.
The FAFSA becomes available on January 1st, and for Maryland students wanting Maryland state aid, it must be completed by March 1st. Now, in most cases, financial aid is actually awarded on a first-come, first-served basis, and the earlier you apply, the better your chances are for getting a good financial aid package.
If you submit your FAFSA on March 2nd, there may be many opportunities that you will not qualify for because there will already be a waiting list of other Maryland residents that will receive those funds. Students must complete the FAFSA before March 1st to be considered for many of the state scholarships in the state of Maryland. So there's a window there.
Now, to complete the FAFSA, you'll need the income information for both the student and parents. This can be found on your tax returns. But right now, you're probably saying, hey Mario, we don't have our taxes done in January. I know, that's okay. You can use last year's numbers if your income didn't change, or you can use your W-2 or most recent pay stub.
The information that's needed if you're a dependent student, it would be your own previous year's tax and earning information if you worked. It's your parents' tax and earning information, the number of people in the household, your parents' information, their names, and things like that. If you're an independent student, you don't need your parent information, but you would need your own information of earnings. If you're married, you would need your spouse's information of earnings as well.
My name is Darius Morgan. I'm a junior in business administration major here at Stevenson University. I am of Liberian descent, and I'm from Long Island, New York. I had always been told that I was fast. I was nicknamed Speedy. I didn't want to go to a school where I could become a huge track star because I wanted to trade in my track shoes for dress shoes. Because I knew that education was the key to open other doors for me. I decided to turn down some of those offers that were on the table to pursue a career in leadership rather than sports. I applied for financial aid through the FAFSA. Being that I was a first-generation college student, I didn't know what to do, and I didn't really have a lot of resources around, so luckily enough, I had a college prep counselor who showed me how to get through the FAFSA and how I needed my parents' taxes to fill out the information.
The types of aid that he's received a federal Pell Grant, he's received a subsidized and unsubsidized federal student loans, he's received a first-generation grant, which was a grant that the university received for first-generation students, and he also is receiving a large Stevenson University need-based grant. In order to keep his financial aid each year, he has to apply for financial aid, so he has to have the fun-filled day of filling out the FAFSA, as he, has done, and he will continue to do. So that's probably the biggest criteria. And he just has to maintain what we call satisfactory academic progress. So we have some standards that they have to maintain in order to continue receiving their financial aid.
I know most students may not have the opportunity to attain a private education. So what those awards allowed me to do was be able to come to a four-year institution and be able to get a degree.
As soon as you submit the FAFSA, it goes to the school or schools that you've listed, but you also get a printout of all of the answers that you put on the FAFSA so that you can immediately look at it and say, oh dear, look what I did. I put my income was $120,000. I meant to put it was $1,200. So you should be able to see that and correct it even before sometimes it gets to the school.
Okay, so let me get this straight. The form is free and I do it online. That sounds super easy. And even if you make a mistake, you have a chance to fix it online. But there is another mistake that you don't want to make: missing deadlines.
The deadlines are very important for students because there's only a certain amount of money to be given from each of these sources. So the students that apply first have a better chance of receiving the money that is available. There are deadlines that are very strict, that if a student applies after the deadline, they won't even be considered, and there is no appeal process for that.
So what exactly does the FAFSA tell you? Well, it tells you what your family can afford, which is called the EFC, or Expected Family Contribution. The school will subtract the EFC from the cost of a year of education. The difference is considered your financial need. The institution will use this information to determine your eligibility for federal and state financial aid programs. One of the things that parents and students should also be aware of when they complete the FAFSA is that there may be additional forms required by the school in order to access other types of financial aid, such as institutional scholarships.
Like what you're hearing so far, but have more questions about finding money for college? Call us. Our live phone bank of college financial aid advisors is right here in the studio waiting for you at 1-800-222-1292. For more information on the FAFSA or about college financial aid in general, they can help you. You can also tweet your question at #MPTYCAC or email us at outreach@mpt.org. With me right now is Kevin Enzer, Supervisor of School Counseling for Harford County Public Schools. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us here tonight.
My pleasure.
You've been doing this for quite some time, serving as a counselor and dealing with a lot of students. What are some of the main questions they ask you about college?
Well, typically students want to know how to get into college. They want to know about the grades, grade point average, test scores, those kinds of things. But obviously, the financial aid is a big piece. A lot of questions about scholarships and how to get financial aid.
So how do you walk them through the process as a guidance counselor? What is your role exactly?
Well, typically we like to meet with the parents, and this is obviously a family decision. It's a very important family decision. So we like to educate the parents as much as possible about the financial aid process. And typically in Harford County, we start this process at the elementary level.
That early?
Yes. We have some.
Why so young?
Well, because just to know the language, financial aid language is very difficult, very complex, to know the acronyms and all of the verbiage that goes along with the whole process. So again, it's being proactive rather than being reactive. The more parents know, the easier the process becomes for them. Students become more educated, and they're not in for surprises when they graduate from high school.
What resources do you have available that you can offer up to the students? Are there college handbooks? Are there any other kinds of materials or pamphlets for them to review and look over?
Well, typically we have a computer program in Harford County called the Naviance College and Career Program. So our kids get exposed to that in the middle school level. So they use that for 6 years, and there's a college search engine there. They also do some career searches as well. So it's kind of a combination, again, a comprehensive program so kids can become better informed about the college opportunities, about career opportunities, and of course the financial aid websites, the fastweb.com, the College Board, all the typical websites that have been used for years.
For many years. Are there any specific courses that students need to kind of bone up on, elective courses or AP classes they might need to take to increase their chances of getting into the school they want to go to?
Well, sure. Advanced placement classes definitely help. International baccalaureate classes definitely help, because typically you have a chance to be able to earn college credit while you're still in high school. We also have in Maryland, we have the Senate Bill 740 that was passed recently, so more kids now get discounted tuition to college campuses. So we have more juniors and seniors now taking college classes through Senate Bill 740. So the combination of all the courses, the more rigorous coursework, helps students get into more selective colleges and also allows them to earn college credit prior to graduating from high school.
What's the most important thing that the students need to know about when filling out the college application? I mean, is it the essay? Is it recommendations? Is it a little bit of both or more?
Quite frankly, it's a complicated situation because a lot depends on the school. You know, there are some schools that have more of a quantitative number crunching process when they decide who gets in based on SAT scores, GPA, those types of things. Others look more at the qualitative pieces, the letters of recommendation, the essays, those kinds of things. So really a lot depends on the number of applications each school gets and how they process those. And that's why this is a very individual process. You know, we emphasize that parents need to meet with school counselors, need to meet with financial aid representatives from the college and really understand the process and how it works, how a school decides their financial aid packages, you know, whether they fund 100% of the need, 80%, 90%, whatever the case might be.
It's interesting because I was wondering if back in the day, I kind of just figured out how to go to college based on what other colleges other kids were applying to. Does that still happen?
It does, but we try to avoid that as much as possible. And it typically comes back to the best fit, and we like to emphasize that. We need to have students understand why this particular school would be a good fit for them. And it goes beyond the academics. Obviously, academics are very important, but also the social atmosphere, you know, the ability to be able to graduate and get jobs. That's certainly job placement is a big factor as well.
Yeah. The SAT is going to be redesigned in 2016. It's a little far out, but what do people need to know about it right now, students in particular?
Well, typically there's a changeover process that'll take a couple years. So the SAT courses, the prep courses, and those kinds of things will be retooled and give students plenty of opportunities to be able to prepare for that test. So right now we're still taking the same test. Really, there's nothing they need to do now other than to still study for the current examination and wait for those changes to come in 2016.
And if a four-year institution is not the right place for you right after high school, not a bad idea to be thinking about community college?
Community colleges are a fantastic option. Definitely the cheaper tuition, but also a very nurturing academic environment and smaller class sizes. It's an excellent way to get into a four-year school.
Only got about 30 seconds left. What advice would you give to students or parents who are in the process or thinking about going to college? Things that they may not even think about and mistakes they might make along the way.
I think, again, the main thing comes down to having that contact with the school counselor. Our school counselors are highly trained. They know about the college application process. They know about the financial aid process. And the more that parents work together with their kids to help understand the process, to know what the financial parameters are,
the better off.
All that is very important to have those conversations prior to the college application process.
Good advice. Kevin Ensler, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate that tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And at any time, if you have a question about the FAFSA or financial aid for college, please call us at 1-800-222-1292 to speak with college financial aid advisors right here at MPT. They can help you. You can also tweet your question at #MPTYCAC, or you can email us at outreach@mpt.org. So what are some of your questions? Naseem, our college financial aid guru, has heard them all. Let's see what she has to say.
Can I use my financial aid to buy my books?
Yes, you can. Each school's financial aid office handles this differently. However, you can purchase your books before the start of classes. Make sure to contact your school's financial aid office for additional information.
How do I apply for a student loan?
Your first step is to complete the free application for federal student aid. Your second step is to contact your school. They'll be able to determine your eligibility to find out what type of student loans you're eligible for.
When do I begin paying back my student loan?
Payment begins on your student loan 6 months from the time that you stop attending, drop below half-time, or graduate.
What if I have trouble paying back my student loans?
It's always a good idea to keep an open line of communication with the Department of Education. If you have any questions or concerns, it's important to contact them immediately.
I'm an adult student. Am I eligible for financial aid?
Yes, absolutely. Financial aid is available for students of all ages. Remember, your first step is to complete the free application for federal student aid at www.fafsa.gov.
I'm a veteran. Do I qualify for financial aid, even though I'm receiving VA or GI benefits?
Yes. Most students receiving military benefits can receive financial aid. It's important for you to contact your school's financial aid office or veterans office for additional information.
Thanks, Nasim. And for the first time in years, Nasim was not able to join us in person tonight, but don't let that stop you from making a call. We still have an excellent crowd of college financial aid advisors waiting to hear from you. Simply dial 1-800-222-1292. Joining us now in the studio are Benet Edwards and Donna Thomas from the Office of Outreach and Grants Management at the Maryland Higher Education Commission. Benet and Donna, thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll start with you, Benet. Tell us a little bit more about MHEC, as I commonly call it. What is your primary role as a state agency and some of the services that you provide?
We provide a number of services. We are the coordinating board for the colleges and universities in the state of Maryland. But one of our key positions that we're going to talk about tonight is financial aid. The Maryland Higher Education Commission awards over $100 million a year to more than 50,000 students, and we have a number of programs. We like to go to high schools and make sure we share with students about these programs. We'd like to talk about the Howard P. Rawlings program, which is our largest financial aid program.
So it's really important that people know that these scholarships and these grants and this financial aid exist. And we're going to go right over to you. Yes. That's a good segue into you, Donna, to talk a little bit about the kinds of scholarships and grants that are available for students.
Well, as Benet said, our largest scholarship that's available to students is the Howard P. Rawlings grant. And there's two grants actually tied into that. It's the Educational Assistance Grant and the Guaranteed Access Grant. The Educational Assistance Grant is for low to moderate income families, and the average award is about $3,000 maximum amount. But if you're a low income student, the maximum award amount can be up to $16,500 that you can receive, and that goes towards your tuition and fees and also room and board if you have anything remaining.
Well, that's a significant amount of money.
Yes.
So how does one go about applying for these grants and scholarships?
Well, you go onto our website, which is the mhec.gov website, and you go online and you click on the MD-CAPS link, and you actually apply for all of the scholarships on there. It gives you a breakdown of all of the scholarships in a one-stop shop.
And so what are the requirements to maintain the scholarship for the full time you're in school?
For the Guaranteed Access Grant, it is a different requirement. Students have to maintain at least a 2.0 each year in order to receive it and make sure they're maintaining SAP. For the Educational Assistance Grant, as long as they have a demonstrated need, they can receive the award from year to year.
Okay.
And the maximum is up to 4 years that students can receive it.
And that sort of piggybacks on a question I had about you, whether or not these are renewable or whether or not they're annual scholarships. I guess it varies depending on what it is you're applying for and what you receive, right?
Yes, because we're talking about the non-renewable scholarship. We have the legislative scholarships. We have a delegate scholarship and the senatorial scholarship. The delegate scholarship is not renewable, meaning the students would need to apply for that each year by contacting the delegates in their district. The senatorial scholarship is renewable if the students are meeting the requirements. So they would need to contact their senators also about that, applying for that money.
So it's a good idea for them to familiarize themselves with who's their senator and who's their delegate in their district.
Absolutely. Correct. And the Maryland Higher Education Commission can provide that information, or they can go on a website to learn about, to put in their address, and they will tell them who their delegates and senators are.
Easily done. The beauty of the internet these days, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So once a person applies for and is granted a scholarship, how do they go about receiving that? First of all, how long does it take? And then how do they go about receiving that money? Does it get sent directly to them or to the school?
Well, students can apply as early as January for the upcoming award year to be able to receive the scholarship. Our application opens for the need-based scholarship January 1, and we want students to complete it by March 1st. March 1st is the deadline date to ensure that we are able to apply the scholarship to those particular students. For the Guaranteed Access Grant, you can apply after March 1st. However, we give priority to those who do apply by March 1st. And we usually make our awards no later than the first week in May.
So the early bird gets the worm on that one, right?
Yes. But we always try to leave something left over for the Guaranteed Access Grant.
Absolutely. And on your website, you talk about unique populations. Tell me a little bit more about that, Donna.
We do offer scholarships for some of our unique populations, such as the Veterans, Afghanistan, and Iraq Conflict Scholarship. And those are for our veterans who have served and also for their dependents or their spouse. And then we also have the Convoy Scholarship as well, and the Gene B. Cryer Scholarship as well, which is available to students in a particular population that it's offered for students to go online and apply.
Okay. You know, we were talking earlier about deadlines. Donna mentioned a few. How important is it for these students to be aware of these deadlines? Because oftentimes we're like, oh, I just missed it. But you need to know. Talk to me about that.
Oh, yes. The deadline is important. As Donna mentioned, you know, we do have deadlines. And March the 1st is the state deadline. So we really like to say, no matter what, even though you could possibly receive aid after that date if something goes on, we really like to put emphasis on apply before March 1st. Right. That is very important.
Don't make March 1st your deadline. Maybe make, you know, February 26th or something.
Right.
Like
I always
really,
say that too.
Really get ahead of the curve.
Right, definitely.
Yes.
You had an interesting question when we were talking, Donna, about if a person lives in Maryland, works in Maryland, but their parents are in another state, how does that all work?
Well, unfortunately, if they're a dependent student and their parents reside in another state, they would not be eligible for our state grants. Their parents actually have to live in the state of Maryland in order to be eligible for the state grants. So for any reason, if there's a student whose mom or dad lives in Delaware and they are going to school, maybe residing with their grandparents, and they want to apply, unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to offer the scholarship to them. They have to be residents of the state of Maryland.
Okay, well, we made that perfectly clear. Vinay, talk to me a little bit more about these Money for College events. I was on your website, and there's a calendar listed there, and it's all across the state of Maryland, different places people can go to learn more about financial aid.
Yes, the Money for College calendar is a calendar that lists events that's held throughout the state by different agencies that share information on college access or financial aid. These agencies sometimes request a representative from the Maryland Higher Education Commission to come out and share information on state financial aid. So we go there as well. But all of the residents in Maryland, they can go out to this website, on the Commission's website, look at the calendar, and attend the event if they choose to attend that event.
It's good information, good
Yes,
information. We've only got about 45 seconds left. We've been talking a lot about financial aid. Real quick from both of you, what's one piece of advice you want to let students and parents know about tonight? We'll start with you, Donna.
To visit our website and see all the scholarships that are available, because there's money out there and there's resources out there for students to attend college.
So there's no reason they should go without, because money is available.
Money is
for them.
available.
Okay, and Vinay, what would you like to say? What would you add to that?
I would add to that, work hard and keep that GPA up. Makes a difference.
Grades are very important.
Absolutely.
People forget about that.
Very important.
All right, ladies, thank you so much for your time
Thank
tonight.
you.
We really appreciate this wonderful information from MHEC,
Yes.
as we always say. Thanks,
Thank
Vinay
you.
and Donna. So viewers at home, if you have more questions about the FAFSA or financial aid for college, please call us at 1-800-222-1292 to speak with college financial aid advisors right here at MPT. Every single person that you see sitting at that phone bank knows how to help you. You can also send us a tweet at #MPTYCAC or email us at outreach@mpt.org. All right, let's now return to Mario and You Can Afford College.
Now, after filling out the FAFSA, your next step is to research other financial aid opportunities. These could include grants, scholarships, work study, and loans. You can find out what each one offers and if it'll work for you.
The Maryland Higher Education Commission's Office of Student Financial Assistance offers various types of grants and scholarships, including need-based grants, merit-based grants, and legislative scholarships, among others. Need-based grants are based on just that, financial need as determined by the FAFSA. Merit-based grants are based on high achievers in high school, and legislative scholarships are awarded by your Maryland State Senator and delegates.
In addition to that, they award and disperse scholarships from the state of Maryland, about $100 million a year to over 56,000 students. Sometimes I'll get phone calls from students that will say, I have this educational assistance grant from the state of Maryland. It's for $3,000. I didn't apply for this. Where did this money come from? It came from filling out the FAFSA. The data is automatically sent to the state of Maryland, and that application is completed, and then they are awarded the money, and they don't even necessarily fill out a special form for an educational assistance grant.
What exactly are grants? Grants are free monetary gifts to help pay for a college education, and unlike loans, do not have to be repaid. The most common is the federal Pell Grant. Another grant is the Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant, which is awarded to undergraduate students with exceptional financial need, and Pell Grant recipients receive priority. Full and part-time students may qualify. Not all institutions participate in this program, so contact your college financial aid office for information. There are several other types of grant programs available through the Maryland Higher Education Commission, such as the Educational Assistance Grant and Guaranteed Access Grant. Now, you may think funding an entire college education with grants would be difficult, right? This UMBC freshman really did her homework and found a program that does just that.
My name is Julie Castaneda, and I am a freshman at UMBC. I am planning on majoring in mechanical engineering, and I have a minor in public policy.
It is really rewarding for me as a financial aid administrator to see how a student like Julie, who's worked really hard in high school academically and who also has significant financial need, has been able to receive a variety of different funding sources to assist her.
You use that for any other educational expenses that you have.
If I had not found out about our rolling guaranteed access grant, I probably wouldn't be here. I would have probably had to get loans, and I would have worried about my money and financial situation. I probably would have had to delay coming to college a year or two. So I'm here today because of the guaranteed access grant.
What kind of case can you make that knowledge is an intrinsic value? It's valuable for itself.
What makes this program unique, in my opinion, is that it covers such a large scholarship that can carry the student through 4 years of their education. It can be up to about $14,000 per year for one student.
When I was awarded the grant, I ran home and I was like, Mom, I can finally go to college, Mom. I can go to college. I'm gonna be first generation, Mom. And she said, oh my gosh. And she was crying. And I said, I can do this. I can go to college. And Mom, I don't have to worry about it because I can keep getting this. I can keep going for it. I can keep reapplying. I was like, Mom, we got it.
My name's Andy Blanco. I'm a senior at St. John's College in Annapolis. I guess I never really planned on going to college, so I worked for a couple years as a restaurant manager, and I met a man who went to St. John's and told me all about the program at St. John's and how it works. And it was probably 4 hours, but I guess to me it seemed like it was like 30 minutes because it was so interesting.
Our role in the Office of Financial Aid is to assist students with any questions they might have about the financial aid process as they're thinking about St. John's, and then we put together the financial aid packages once we receive all the information.
The whole financial aid process has helped me tremendously because there's no way I could attend a school like St. John's without it. After I got accepted, I did everything I was supposed to do. I turned all the documents in on time, which is key. It's the only thing they really ask of you. And then they sent me a financial aid package. When I got that, it was like the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders.
Every student receives financial aid in their admission letter. We give achievement awards in their letter of acceptance. After students are admitted and we receive the federal financial aid information, then we put together the rest of the financial aid package.
It was intimidating and it was a little bit challenging, but really the two main ones, the FAFSA and the College Scholarship Service Profile, they're pretty straightforward forms.
The first advice that I would give Andy and any other student is please apply to the college that you're interested in, not based upon how much it will cost you. Because until you've been admitted and received all of the financial aid information, you don't know how much it will cost you to attend that institution.
Right now I'm applying to law schools. I actually just got my LSAT score yesterday. My next step is go to law school and then hopefully become a lawyer.
The federal government provides loans for college students enrolled at least half-time. Direct loans may be subsidized or unsubsidized. Subsidized loans are need-based, so the government pays the interest as long as you are enrolled at least half-time. Unsubsidized loans are not need-based, and you are responsible for all of the interest that accrues on the loan while you are in school. Another is the Federal Perkins Loan, a low-interest option for undergraduate and graduate students. The Federal Direct Plus Loan is our low-interest student loan program for parents of undergraduate dependent students. With a PLUS loan, families can fund the entire cost of a child's education minus other financial aid awarded. Parents are responsible for all the interest that accrues on this type of loan.
My name is Isabella Thornett. I'm from Rockville, Maryland. I go to Towson University and I'm an elementary education major. I want to probably teach in Baltimore County, start in upper elementary school. I've always loved kids and I just really want to be able to support them and help them adjust to being in school and adjust to moving on into middle school and eventually high school. In the middle of my semester, freshman year, right in the fall, I came into school with the thought that my mom had taken out a parent loan. But unfortunately, after we'd lost our house a couple years ago, she didn't qualify for the loan. Of course, my family and I were having emotional breakdowns, but I got an email from the College of Education about this really cool scholarship. It's called the James Patterson Scholarship. And she said, you know, if you want to apply for this, there's a list of essays for you to write about yourself, about teaching, about really making an impact.
Mr. Patterson's mother had been an elementary teacher, and having been a very successful author, Mr. Patterson wanted to give back, and the way that he was giving back was he's established the James Patterson Scholarship Program.
Today we're continuing with our presentations, right, group 3 and 4.
What it involves is selecting very highly competitive students who combine excellent academic credentials and some unmet need. As long as the students stay in education and the students continue to perform at a high level, they will receive a scholarship each year for all 4 of their undergraduate years.
Higher education is expensive. We know this. And therefore, finding financial aid, finding ways of paying for this is extraordinarily important. Well, the university takes huge pride in being able to offer scholarships to bright students who are really keen and motivated.
It was kind of the deal breaker for me to be able to go to college, or at least go to Towson. Towson was made for teachers. It was originally a teacher's school, so it's a really great balance. And I think without the scholarship, I wouldn't be able to experience that.
What are some online resources to research financial aid? Well, here's a few you can check out. The federal government's main information page on financial aid is located at studentaid.ed.gov. Information on Maryland State financial aid programs can be found at the Maryland Higher Education Commission website at mhec.state.md.us or mdgoforit.org. Other popular sites, such as fastweb.com and finaid.org, also offer information about scholarships nationwide. Your Maryland delegates and senators have scholarship funds to award, but you must contact their office directly. If you don't know who your legislators are, you can find them online at mdelect.net. It goes without saying, be careful about which internet sites you choose to use. There are a lot of scammers out there, so students and parents should be suspicious of websites that charge a fee.
Students shouldn't trust everything they see on the internet because there are many sources and websites that are trying to make money off of these students and telling them they need to submit the FAFSA for them, and that is not true. The student can do that on their own. They should not pay for someone to tell them about financial aid. Most of it is free information for them to gather.
The FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid, but there are also sites that charge you, and any site that asks you to pay by credit card, it'll only cost you $25, $79.95, $250, whatever it is, absolutely avoid them. They are not going to help you. Basically, what they will do is submit your FAFSA, which is a free application. It will come back that you'll be eligible for a student loan or possibly a Pell Grant or whatever, but all of those are things that you would find out simply by doing the FAFSA yourself for free.
That's right, the FAFSA is free, which makes sense since the word free is in the name. Right, Pat? Well, welcome back to our studios at MPT. Pat and her fellow college financial aid advisors are right here in our studio if you need them to answer any of your college questions. All you have to do is call 1-800-222-1292. You can also tweet us at #MPTYCAC or email us at outreach@mpt.org. With us now is Emmanuel Manu. He's an associate program director for high schools with the College Bound Foundation. Thanks for joining us, Emmanuel.
Not a problem.
So you are a first time to our show, a little bit of a newbie, but welcome. We appreciate you coming on board.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit more about your organization and how you help students find the best fit for college.
Well, College Bound is a local, in terms of Baltimore City, nonprofit organization that is high school based in terms of our programming. And so we have full-time college advisors within the high schools in about half of the Baltimore City high schools. And their job is to provide one-on-one advising to the students. They meet regularly with the students. They provide opportunities for students to go on college tours, have college fairs at the high schools. And so anything related to helping students complete the application process, we do. And so it's not about just submitting applications, but helping students to figure out, of course, cost is a big part, but what will be the best fit when it comes to making sure that students will succeed at the college that they choose.
And these are those college-bound specialists.
Correct.
And did you say 4? How many college-bound specialists do you have to help out?
Oh, we have about 19.
19, okay.
Yes.
I was going to say, how are 4 people doing all of that work?
No.
That makes a little bit more sense. In fact, let's talk about the number of students that you serve and the wide variety of schools, or the number of schools that are involved.
Okay. So currently we're in about half of the Baltimore City high schools, and so that comes to about 20 right now. And our specialists, they are in the schools full-time. And so one full-time specialist, in 2 cases, we have 2 specialists at a school. And so we service all of their senior class. And so you may have some senior class that have about 300 students, and some may have only 50. So depending on the load, that determines if the specialist can work with the underclassmen or how much they can work with the underclassmen. But the key is to be able to do one-on-one advising, as well as group presentations. But the key is to be able to service the students in the senior class first, and then the underclassmen to help them get prepared for that senior year.
And how difficult is it for the parents and students to sort of navigate this process?
It's difficult, and I think just watching the students be so thankful at the end of the process, we know that many of the things that we help them with, if we weren't in the schools, they would otherwise not get that service. And so, I think being able to help students understand what college is about in terms of being able to succeed there, helping students understand that you can afford it despite the sticker price that they may see, understanding what the FAFSA is and how to apply, how the taxes are involved, and all those things play a key part in us helping the students understand what they must do.
And do you believe in starting early? I mean, your organization is a strong proponent of starting early. Early, like what age?
Absolutely. We would like to start as early as kindergarten. I think we believe that as early as we can get the students to think about college from very young, that will help in them understand that they need to prepare themselves. And so, unfortunately, we're limited to working with just the high school students, so grades 9 to 12. But if we can do anything with 8th graders. In fact, this year we're starting an 8th grade seminar at the end of this school year. So starting early is the key, because when students get to that 12th grade year, what we've seen is that oftentimes they don't have the credentials that they need, and if they had started earlier,
they would have them.
Yes.
You have a lot of unique scholarships and grants that are available. Talk to us about that.
Well, we have about 175 competitive scholarships that are, for the most part, for Baltimore City residents, but we do have a couple that are for the surrounding areas, like the Raven Scholarship that we administer. So, counties like Carroll County, they are able to apply. But our competitive scholarship is very competitive, and our hope is that more students each year will apply for them. And students have to write an essay and to be able to compete for the scholarships. And so that, I hope every year is to increase the number of students, and that portfolio totals over $1.5 million.
That's a large amount of money.
We do.
Let's see if we can squeeze in information on these last dollar grants.
Very critical. And so we have a last gap funding that students can be awarded for up to $3,000 for up to 5 years. And so students can apply this year up to July 1st on our website directly, collegeboundfoundation.org. And the hope is to fill the last gap that students need in order to enroll. So whether it's $500 or $3,000, we hope to help students enroll.
15 seconds left. You've been with them for 4 years. What do you like the most about what you do?
Getting a chance to help students to think that they can achieve the dream of going to college. Many of our students oftentimes don't think they can even make it, and so helping students see that that is a reachable goal and to help them get through that process is the best thing ever.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much, Emmanuel Manu. We appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for your time tonight, like we just said. And there are so many questions that people like Emmanuel get asked about going to college. And tonight, you have the opportunity to ask those very same questions to our advisors on the phone, via Twitter and email if need be. Call this terrific team of college financial aid advisors at 1-800-222-1292 so they can help you. Tweet your questions at #MPTYCAC or email us at outreach@mpt.org. We'll respond as soon as possible, I promise. And now let's take a look at part 3 of You Can Afford College.
My name's Kevin. I'm a senior at the Maryland Institute College of Art, MICA, and I'm a painting major. This is my final semester. Coming out of high school, I made the decision to attend community college, Hartford Community College. When I received my acceptance packet from MICA, I found out that I had gotten all these scholarships and grants through the school already that they were just offering me.
Hi, how are you?
Which was a super great thing to receive within getting your letter of acceptance. Plus it's and here's how we're going to help you out.
Well, I know that
Within the packet, I found that I had received a dean's grant and a president's grant, and then I had this massive transfer scholarship, which was amazing as a transfer student to get such a gift to me to enter the school and carry me along through the years that I'd be here. And then during my time here, I've been given the opportunity to apply for some other scholarships, which involved me composing my portfolio again, an artist statement and things like that. So I got a really great competitive scholarship that a lot of students apply for. There were other opportunities that I was awarded as well, which was a federal work study, which has been an amazing opportunity for me, both within my college career and for me personally. I work in the exhibition department.
That's kind of pretty good.
So within that department, it's really opened up some doors for me to get other jobs doing art handling, because I now have 2 years of experience handling artwork and setting up exhibitions, and it's been a really, really, really beneficial thing in my personal life as well.
So far, all we've talked about is the here and now. You want to go to school maybe this year or next year, and you need money as soon as possible. But what if you're not ready to start school for, say, I don't know, another 18 years? It's never too late or too early to start saving. Everyone talks about planning ahead for their retirement, but you can also plan way ahead for your children's college education. Hi, Lauren, how are you?
Mary, I'm great.
You're going to help us understand how parents can better help their children finance college education. What are some of the options for them?
In Maryland, we have what we call 529 plans that can help people save for college.
Now, wait, I'm familiar with the 529. I have it for my son. I think it works a little bit like a 401k, right?
There's 2 different plans. There's one that's similar to a 401k. The 529 grows tax deferred, as long as it's used for educational expenses, which is a pretty vast list of things that is. It's income tax free at the time as well. We also have what we call prepaid college trust, where you can buy tuition at today's prices for future benefits. So tuition goes up 30% in the next 10 years. You've already locked into today's price, and you don't have to worry about that increase.
Is this only in Maryland that you can use this?
You're absolutely right. It's a great question. It's Maryland state sponsored, so that's why Maryland's in the name. However, they can use it anywhere at a federally accredited school across the country. So that includes vocational schools, technical schools, as well as four-year universities and community colleges.
So now you have the eyes and the ears of all the parents that are watching. What's the one thing you would say to them about financing their children's college education?
It's never too late to start. People think about the freshman year and working towards that, but they don't realize that they're in school for 4 years and then potentially on to grad school and medical school. So that time horizon's a lot longer to save than they realize. So any bit that they can put aside is a good thing to help reduce any future debt with college student loans.
That is solid advice. Thanks, Lauren. We appreciate it.
Planning ahead is always a good idea, isn't it? Well, welcome back to our studios at MPT. I'm Yolanda Vazquez. If you have a question about financial aid for college, the college savings plans of Maryland, or anything else you've heard tonight, please call us at 1-800-222-1292 so this excellent team of advisors can help you. You can also reach them on Twitter at #MPTYCAC and via email at outreach@mpt.org. Speaking of planning ahead, ahead financially. With me right now is Stuart Ritter from T. Rowe Price. Not only has Stuart been a financial planner since 1998, he spent plenty of time with college students teaching personal finance at Johns Hopkins University, Howard Community College, and the University of Maryland's Robert H. Smith School of Business. Thanks for joining us, Stuart. You are a busy man.
Thanks for having me.
Always good to have you on the show. So you break down college funding into two distinct topics. What are they?
Here's the way to think about it. The first one is saving for college. The second one is buying college. That first one are for parents of younger kids. That's when you're thinking about how much do I save, using the 529 plans we just heard about, making sure that you've built a foundation so when it's time for your child to go to school, you have money saved for that. The buying college decision is now you're ready for your child to go to school, and thinking about how much you have saved, how much you can pay out of income, and how much debt you might take on, and making sure you've thought through the balance so that you're not overextending yourself or your child.
And we're going to talk about debt in a second, but there's two different schools of thoughts when it comes to paying for college. And it's very interesting. I love what you say. $1 saved now can be worth $2 in loans avoided. And you did a whole analysis on this.
Yes, we did. We took a look at the numbers, and we wanted to compare saving ahead of time to not saving, borrowing, and then paying it off. And what we found is when you look at the amount that comes out of your pocket, for every $1 that you saved, you avoided $2 that would have had to come out of your pocket to pay for loans, because if you save ahead of time, you get the potential earnings, but if you borrow, you have to pay back interest.
Wow, you are really incentivizing people to save early and plan early. I love it.
Absolutely.
When we hear the term financial aid, a lot of people tend to think it's free money.
Yes.
Not so.
Not really. One of the things we found, we looked at Department of Education data, and for people who have a household income of about $65,000 to $105,000 a year, and this was back in 2012, they end up paying about 90% of the sticker price of an average public school. So you get some free money, but only 10% of the cost. You have to pay 90% of the sticker price, 2/3 of the sticker price of the average private university. So even after that free money that everybody thinks financial aid is, you need to come up with a lot of money on your own. And that's where the saving ahead of time, the 529 plans, can help.
Is this the whole idea of looking at the net price versus the sticker price? I mean, knowing what that bottom line number is, right? Taking the main price and then taking out the financial aid, and boom, there's what you owe.
Right. You take out that free money, because what we really care about is how much is it going to cost me, not what the number is to start with. What do I have to come up with out of my own pocket? And that ends up being a combination of my savings, whatever money I can pay out of current income, and how much debt I have to take on to meet that price.
Speaking of debt, students get saddled with debt once they graduate, and I saw a statistic that said the average 2013 college student graduated and owed about $25,000 in debt. Yes. So how much should you take on? Where do you draw the line?
It's going to be different for each person. What I think people need to think about is ahead of time, can I get to a school that's not going to cost me as much? Make a value judgment. We do it all the time. We don't walk on the car dealership lot and say, I'm going to take the most expensive car no matter how much it costs, as long as I can borrow for it. We think about, what do we need? What might we get out of this? What's the experience going to be, and how much is that worth, both from what I've saved and what it might mean in terms of the future income I give up if I take on a lot of debt and now I've got to pay the interest back.
You know, what if you end up getting stuck and you just didn't plan well? Should you dip into your retirement savings, and should you take out, borrow against your home through a home equity line of credit?
So if we're talking about parents making that decision, your retirement comes first. You have to make sure your own financial situation is solid before you start helping your child. Otherwise, all this effort to putting them in a good position for their future can end up boomeranging if you run out of money in retirement and now you're knocking on their door saying, now you have to take care of me. So make sure your own retirement is on track. And then if you decide you need to borrow money, we're talking about making decisions about where to borrow from. And that's something you should think through.
We've only got about 15 seconds left. One piece of advice you would give to parents and students.
Save now. And you can probably save more than you think you can. So get started. Don't try to make it perfect. Build that foundation so you're in a better position when your child goes to school.
Stuart Ritter, thank you so much for your time. And as we get ready for the final portion of our program, I'd like to thank our financial aid volunteers at MPT tonight. tonight. They are still here to talk to you about finding money for school, so call them at 1-800-222-1292. Grants, scholarships, loans, the FAFSA, they know it all. You can also tweet us your questions at #MPTYCAC. or email us questions at outreach@mpt.org. They will still be here after the show is over. So if you want to call once the program concludes, they will be waiting. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. I'm Yolanda Vazquez. Now get ready for Mario's checklist and the conclusion of You Can Afford College.
So, do you have everything memorized yet? If not, no worries. I'm going to give you my top 10 college financial aid checklist. Meet with a high school or college financial aid advisor. Research. The more you do, the more likely you are to find different sources of financial aid. Organize your financial records, including your income taxes. Fill out the FAFSA. Fill out forms accurately, consistently, and completely. Apply as early as you can for federal, state, institutional, and private funds. Meet all the deadlines. Save copies of your work. Respond quickly and study hard. Some financial aid can be dependent on your grades. Need some reminders on this information? For links to schools and financial aid sites, including a direct link to the FAFSA application and State Scholarship Administration of the Maryland Higher Education Commission, just visit our website at mpt.org. That's all we have for our show. If there's any one thing to take away from this, it's this.
I can afford college.
I can afford college.
Wow, I can afford college.
Bottom line, you can afford college. Now go and pursue your dreams. I'm Mario Armstrong. Thanks so much for watching.
You Can Afford College is a co-production of Maryland Public Television and the Maryland Higher Education Commission, and made possible in part by a grant from the United States Department of Education, strengthening the federal commitment to assuring access to equal educational opportunity for all individuals. Additional support provided by the Eastern Shore Higher Education Center.